They say real life isn't like the movies. But sometimes, it's worse. This story, it's one of those true horror stories you never forget. It begins with a dead girl and the wrong man behind bars. Her name was Sarah Whitmore. 21. Smart, quiet, college student. She was found dead in her dorm room. No sign of struggle. No forced entry. She just vanished, into silence. 2 days later, they arrested Marcus Doyle. A janitor. 36 years old. Kept to himself. Never caused trouble. But he had muddy boots, and his fingerprint was found on the stairwell. A student said she saw him near Sarah's building that night. That was enough. He was charged with murder. No one asked questions. Not the police. Not the press. The town wanted a name. A face. Marcus fit. I met Marcus for the first time in holding. I'm Angela Ruiz. Public defender. 28. Fresh out of law school. This was my first murder case. He looked tired. Hands shaking. Voice low. And he said just 5 words. I didn't do it. Please believe me. I'd heard that before. But something about the way he said it. He wasn't angry. He wasn't defensive. He was scared. I started digging. Everything about the case felt too neat. Boot prints? Dozens of janitors wore those. The fingerprint? On a railing in a public stairwell. That could mean anything. But the prosecution didn't care. Neither did the town. They were calling it a slam dunk case. A perfect true crime story. And the jury? They were already convinced. Then I found the first crack. Security footage from the dorm? Missing. 4 full hours, gone. No backup. No explanation. Campus patrol logs? Didn't cover the east side that night. And Sarah's roommate? She left town just hours after the murder. Still, no one blinked. They wanted a conviction. Fast. Marcus wouldn't stop shaking during our meetings. He kept whispering the same thing. I was just cleaning. That's all I did. And then, silence. Nothing new. No breakthrough. I almost gave up. Until the envelope arrived. No name. No return address. Just a hand-drawn map of the dorm. And a red X. Along with a note. He didn't do it. I saw. That changed everything. I didn't know who sent it. I didn't know if I could trust it. But I knew this. Marcus might not be the killer. And someone out there saw what happened. This wasn't just a trial anymore. It was a race. To find the truth before it disappeared. Because the real horror? It wasn't just the murder. It was the silence that followed. And it was about to break. When I left the courthouse that day, I didn't feel like a lawyer. I felt like I was dragging a man toward his execution. And I wasn't even sure if he belonged there. The evidence was thin, but it looked solid on paper. Fingerprint. Boots. A shaky witness. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. That note, the one with the map and the red X. It kept replaying in my mind. He didn't do it. I saw. Who saw what? And why now? I took it to the judge. He glanced at it like it was a coffee receipt. Called it hearsay. Dismissed it. I asked for a delay. He denied it. Trial would start Monday. 3 days. 3 days to find out who wrote that note. Or watch Marcus go down for a murder he might not have committed. I visited the dorm again. Walked the hall where Sarah died. Counted the cameras, half of them were fake. The real ones? Disconnected since April. Nobody cared. I knocked on doors. Most students were gone for summer break. Those who stayed didn't want to talk. Some looked scared. Others just tired. Then I found one, a girl named Lila. She hesitated, then let me in. She didn't say much. But she said enough. Sarah wasn't scared of Marcus. She was scared of someone else. I leaned in. Asked who? Lila went quiet. Then whispered. You're not gonna find him in court. That was all. She asked me to leave. But I knew now, Marcus wasn't the only one with secrets. Back at the office, I reviewed Marcus's file again. No history of violence. No prior arrests. He'd worked at the college for 6 years. Never missed a day. Always clocked in early. He even volunteered at a local shelter. That's not the profile of a killer. At least, not the kind I've seen. Still, the DA was confident. She told the press this would be open and shut. She smiled when she said it. But I wasn't smiling. Because the more I looked, the less I understood. Why was Marcus cleaning in that dorm that night? That wasn't his assigned building. Why was the footage missing from only that floor? And why did Sarah's roommate leave town the morning after the murder, without talking to anyone? Too many holes. Too much silence. Then, just as I was ready to give up, I saw him. In the back of the courtroom. Second row. Hoodie pulled low. He didn't belong there. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. Just watched. When court recessed, I followed him outside. But he was gone. No name. No trace. But I had a feeling. He knew something. Maybe everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Marcus's face. The way his hands shook. The way his voice cracked when he said, "Please. I didn't do this." And I kept hearing Lila's voice, too. You're not gonna find him in court. Who was she talking about? And more importantly, who was watching us? Because whatever this was, it wasn't just a true crime case anymore. It was a warning. And I was running out of time. Monday morning came fast. Too fast. The courthouse was packed. News vans. Protesters. People holding signs, not for justice, but for blood. Inside, the air was heavy. Not with truth, but expectation. They all thought Marcus was guilty. Even the bailiff avoided eye contact. The jury didn't smile. And the judge, he looked like he just wanted to get it over with. This wasn't a search for truth. It was a performance. A carefully rehearsed true crime drama, and Marcus was already cast as the villain. The prosecution went first. They laid out their story like it was fact. Sarah left the library around 9:15. Returned to her dorm by 9:30. Was found dead by 10:45. They said Marcus was seen near her building at 9:40. That his boots matched prints in the hallway mud. That his fingerprint was on the stair railing. Then came the witness, a sophomore named Kevin. He said Marcus was lurking outside the dorm. Didn't speak. Just stared. The prosecutor asked him if he felt unsafe. Kevin paused, then nodded. That was it. No cross-examination could erase that image. A silent man in the dark. A student afraid. They were painting Marcus as a monster. And the jury was buying it. I tried to push back. Asked why the hallway footage was missing. Why Sarah's roommate left town. Why security skipped patrol that night. Objections flew at me from every direction. Sustained. 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 The judge barely looked up. It didn't matter what I asked. It didn't matter what I found. The prosecution had the narrative. And I was just noise. At lunch, I sat alone on the courthouse steps. My notes were a mess. My hands were shaking. Then I saw him again. The man in the hoodie. Second row. Same seat. No expression. I stood up. Walked toward the courtroom door. But he was already gone. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed at my office, surrounded by open files and cold coffee. The map. The note. The red X. What was I missing? I stared at the photo of the crime scene. Then I noticed something I hadn't before. The hallway, where the mud was found. It didn't lead to Sarah's room. It led to the emergency exit. Why would Marcus go there? Why would a killer? Unless they weren't going in. They were leaving. And if that was true, then Marcus was never meant to be found. Someone else was. I brought that up in court the next day. The prosecutor laughed. Said I was spinning conspiracy theories. The judge warned me to stick to the evidence. I looked at Marcus. His eyes were empty. And then, the door opened. Someone stepped in, sat down in the back row. Not the man in the hoodie. Someone else. He stared straight at me. Like he was daring me to say his name. I didn't know who he was. Not yet. But I felt it, in my bones. The real story hadn't even started. And someone was making sure it never would. The next morning, something was off. The air felt heavier. The courtroom, quieter. Marcus wouldn't even look at me. He was done. And honestly, I was close too. The prosecution called their final witness. The forensic analyst. He repeated what we already knew. The boot prints matched. The fingerprint matched. Their case was tight. Too tight. That's when I got the message. My phone buzzed. Block number. One text. He didn't kill her. Meet me at 6th and Hawthorne. Tonight. Alone. No name. No second text. Just that. I stared at it for a full minute. Was it real? A trap? A prank? Or was this the voice behind the envelope? That night, I parked under a dead street light. Corner of 6th and Hawthorne. An old gas station, boarded up. Graffiti. Broken glass. No cameras. Perfect place to vanish. I waited 5 minutes. 10. 15. Then I saw him. He stepped out of the shadows like he'd always been there. Tall. Lean. Hoodie pulled low. Same man from the courtroom. He didn't speak. Just handed me a small envelope. Then whispered. It wasn't him. You need to look at the real file. I asked, who are you? He looked me dead in the eye and said. I saw what happened. I was there. But they'd kill me if I talked. And just like that, he was gone. Inside the envelope? 2 things. A photo, Sarah at a party. Not just with friends. With someone powerful. A local athlete. A golden boy. The police chief's nephew. The second item, a USB drive. Back at the office, I plugged it in. Security footage. Timestamped. Clear. Someone leaving Sarah's building just after 10:30. Not Marcus. Different build. Different clothes. Running. Then, frame freeze. Face partially visible. Enough to recognize. It was him. The athlete. The one from the photo. The one no one ever mentioned in court. My hands shook. I had proof. Real proof. And no idea what to do with it. If I brought this to court, they'd bury me. Discredit the evidence. Discredit me. But if I didn't, Marcus would die. And I'd carry that forever. I sat in my car until sunrise. Watching that video again and again. Each time, it got worse. Because in the corner of the frame, for just 1 second, Sarah looks directly at the camera. Terrified. Like she knew what was coming. Like she wanted someone to find this. The next morning, I filed a motion. Requested the court allow new evidence. They called it a delay tactic. Said it was desperation. Maybe it was. But I'd seen the truth. And now, I couldn't unsee it. The man who gave me the footage. He vanished. No record. No ID. Nothing. Like he'd never existed. But he had. And now, he held the key to everything. A stranger in the dark. Who saw what no one else dared to see. The judge didn't want to hear it. Said I was stalling. Said I was chasing ghosts. But I filed the motion anyway. Requested the court allow a surprise witness. I didn't say who. Mostly because I wasn't sure he'd even show up. The courtroom was silent. Everyone could feel it. Something was different. Marcus sat still. Barely breathing. He didn't know what was coming. Neither did I. Then the back doors opened. He walked in. Same hoodie. Same calm steps. And for the first time, he looked straight at Marcus. Marcus looked back, confused. Like he'd never seen him before. And then it hit me. He hadn't. Because this stranger wasn't a friend. He wasn't family. He was a witness. He took the stand. Name, Daniel. No last name. He refused. The judge didn't like it, but allowed it. Under oath, he spoke quietly, but clearly. I was outside the dorm that night. I saw the man who left. Not Marcus. Someone taller. Wearing a black jacket. Running toward the stadium. He described everything. The time. The direction. The car the man got into. Then he said the name. Brady Kessler. The room exploded. Brady Kessler. Local hero. Star athlete. Nephew of the police chief. The DA objected. The judge tried to control the courtroom. But the damage was done. Daniel kept going. I didn't come forward because I was scared. But now, I can't watch an innocent man die. He pulled out a flash drive. There's more. Later, under pressure, Brady Kessler was brought in for questioning. He denied everything. But the footage didn't lie. His car. His face. His timeline. Everything lined up. And just like that, the case shattered. Marcus was released. The jury never even deliberated. 6 months of fear, erased in a moment. He didn't cry. Didn't smile. He just walked out into the sun like he'd forgotten what it felt like. I looked for Daniel after the trial. He was gone. No record. No address. No trace. But he'd saved a life. And disappeared. That night, I sat alone in my office. The courtroom was quiet now. The cameras were gone. No headlines. No applause. Just silence. And one question I couldn't shake. Who was Daniel? And why did he risk everything for someone he didn't even know? That testimony. It didn't just save a man. It cracked something open. In the system. In me. Because sometimes, the loudest truth comes from the quietest voice. You'd think everything would feel better after a man walks free. But it didn't. The courtroom was empty now. The jury was gone. The headlines moved on. But the damage stayed. Marcus was free, yes. But he wasn't the same. He didn't go home. Didn't call family. Didn't celebrate. He just disappeared into a motel on the edge of town. Asked for privacy. I gave it to him. Because how do you go back to life? When the world decided you didn't deserve one? Brady Kessler was arrested. But not for murder. The charges were lesser. Tampering. Obstruction. Lying to police. Murder was off the table. They said the evidence wasn't enough. The footage was inconclusive. Daniel's testimony was unverifiable. They gave him a plea deal. 3 years. Probation. He walked. People whispered. But no one protested. Because his family still had power. And power rewrites everything. As for Daniel, gone. No address. No fingerprints. No trace in any database. It was like he never existed. But I knew he did. I saw him. He looked me in the eye. And he told the truth when no one else would. I went back to the dorm one last time. Just to stand there. The hallway was quiet. Repainted. Fresh lights. No signs of what happened. But I remembered. Sarah's room. The red X. The second camera no one checked. I filed a request to review security records again. But they were gone. Deleted. Routine maintenance, they said. Of course. Back at my office, I opened the file one last time. Marcus. Sarah. Daniel. 3 people whose lives collided in one horrifying moment. One died. One was almost buried alive. And one vanished. All because of a system that chose silence over truth. People asked me if I was proud. I wasn't. I was relieved. That one man didn't die. That someone finally spoke. But proud? No. Because for every Marcus, there's another sitting in a cell. With no Daniel. No footage. No chance. That's what this case taught me. Justice doesn't come in a headline. It doesn't come in a verdict. Sometimes, it doesn't come at all. But when it does, it costs something. And someone always pays the price. Marcus left town a few weeks later. No goodbye. No address. I heard he changed his name. I don't blame him. Sometimes, surviving isn't freedom. It's exile. As for me, I stayed. Still take cases. Still walk into courtrooms. Still fight. But now, I listen differently. Because somewhere out there, someone else is watching from the shadows. Waiting. Afraid. Maybe one day, they'll speak. And maybe next time, someone will believe them sooner. Sometimes, at night, I still think about Sarah. The way she looked in that photo, smiling, unaware. A life cut short. A name filed away. A face that never leaves. I think about Marcus too. Where he went. If he ever found peace. If he ever forgave us for believing he was a monster. And Daniel. Whoever he really was. He came out of nowhere. Told the truth. Then vanished like a ghost. He didn't want thanks. Didn't ask for anything. He just gave a man his life back. And disappeared into silence. I kept the envelope. The one with the map. The red X. It's in my desk drawer. Sometimes I look at it. Not because I need answers. But because I need a reminder. That justice isn't clean. It isn't loud. And it almost never comes when we want it. But when it does come, it comes quietly. From someone who risks everything. To tell the truth. The system didn't change. People moved on. The news cycle ended. Another case. Another headline. But I didn't forget. None of us should. Because the real horror stories aren't fiction. They don't happen in haunted houses or deep woods. They happen in courtrooms. In quiet towns. In the spaces where silence is safer than truth. This wasn't just a case. It was a warning. And if you're listening, really listening, you'll know. Some testimonies save lives. Some destroy them. But the rarest kind? They reveal everything. And those are the ones we never forget. If you were in Angela's position, Would you have had the courage to reveal the footage?